2nd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. What is the way of nature? Let us gain inspiration and understanding from the natural world. Take a corn seed, plant it in moist soil, and within one day, the embryo germinates. After about 1 week, a small shoot emerges from the ground. Around 27 days later, it starts to grow new leaves. After 52 days, it develops corn silk, and male pollen appears at the top. Around 90 days later, the corn cob matures. In about 100 days, the corn will be ready for harvest. The corn grain takes 100 days from entering the soil to maturing, and this is the way of nature. An egg hatches into a chicken in around 21 days under normal conditions, and this is also the way of nature. Water freezes into solid at 0 degrees, melts into liquid above 0 degrees, and evaporates into gas at 100 degrees. Temperature changes lead to variations in the water's molecular state, and this is the way of nature. Water flows naturally, and when the melon is ripe, it falls off the vine. These are powerful proofs of the way of nature. Looking at the vast world, apart from many phenomena caused by human activities, all other phenomena change and evolve according to the way of nature. It can be said that all things in the world follow the way of nature. Humans are one species in nature and are also bound by the laws of the way of nature. For example, aging and death are inevitable, but humans have subjectivity and thinking, so they have the tendency and ability to deviate from the way of nature. When we summarize the disasters in human society and the causes of individual troubles and suffering, we find that they are caused precisely by violating the way of nature. Conversely, when society is stable, the weather is favorable, and people live happily and contentedly, it is a result of adhering to and following the way of nature. Therefore, we can conclude that when people obey and follow the way of nature, society becomes harmonious and stable, and people live in harmony and happiness. On the other hand, when they go against and disrupt the way of nature, society becomes turbulent and unstable, and people suffer and endure hardships. So how do we obey the way of nature? Let me explain through some everyday phenomena. The phenomenon of sudden wealth. Analyzing the 100-day maturity process of corn seeds after entering the soil, we can see that the phenomenon of sudden wealth goes against the way of nature. Wealth and prosperity should be accumulated little by little, day by day, following the natural course of events. Instant wealth is not in accordance with the way of nature, and its result is catastrophic. It leads to extreme and distorted psychological activities, dramatic changes in language, gestures, and even physiological functions. The attitudes and demands of others towards the individual change, often leading to contradictions and conflicts. In such cases, the phenomenon of sudden wealth results in inflated desires, strained relationships, an imbalanced normal life order, and twisted and distorted mental states. In short, it increases troubles, suffering, anxiety, and fear. Many people love gambling, playing the stock market for speculation, and engaging in betting. All of these are the psychological outcomes that go against the principles of the way of nature. Similarly, corruption, borrowing money for business ventures, to quickly get the first bucket of gold, to live in a luxurious mansion, drive luxury cars, and so on. All ideas and actions aimed at getting rich quickly go against the way of nature. This is like sowing corn seeds and expecting a harvest after just 3 to 5 days. The result will undoubtedly bring numerous troubles, sufferings, anxiety, and worries. Therefore, everything cannot be rushed. Any mentality or action that seeks quick success violates the way of nature, and the result is undoubtedly contrary to one's wishes. By going against the way of nature, any self-satisfied success will bring countless hidden dangers. These hidden dangers will gradually be exposed or erupt in the individual's future life. For example, corrupt officials who are smug and self-satisfied may end up in prison or get kidnapped or murdered in their future life journey. The fear of death. 99% of people have a fear of death, which is a very irrational mentality. Death is the most natural and just thing, as everything in the world ultimately leads to death. Even the heaven and the earth will have a day of extinction. How could humans be an exception? To eliminate the fear of death, one must understand the principles of the way of nature. Once understood, one can face death calmly without disturbance. Death is not an accidental event. It is an inevitable trend that cannot be avoided. Therefore, the best mentality is to embrace death with a smile. Whether in fear or smiling, death is inevitable. Fear makes people timid and fearful, while smiling makes people live a relaxed, free, and enjoyable life. Why not embrace death with a smile and live a life full of romance? In fact, those who understand the mysteries of life and time are the least afraid of death because death opens another door for the journey of life. Perhaps the scenery after death is even more fascinating and pleasant. Thus, those who understand the way of nature and walk on its path will never fear death. If one still fears death, it means they are on a path that deviates from the way of nature. The phenomenon of poverty. Have you noticed that the more impoverished and backward a place is, the more likely it is to suffer from natural disasters and human-made calamities? Similarly, impoverished people tend to have narrow, conservative, stubborn, short-sighted, selfish, and harmful thinking patterns. There seems to be a hidden spell that says, the more they have, the more they are given, and the less they have, the more they stay impoverished. I used to be puzzled by why places in poverty are more prone to disasters and why impoverished people tend to be conservative, stubborn, and harmful. After repeatedly studying the book without words, I finally discovered that the root cause lies in violating the way of nature. When we observe birds, whether eagles or sparrows, migratory or resident birds, they are always busy surviving. However, impoverished regions and individuals living in poverty are not as busy as birds. This indicates that they are not walking on the path of the way of nature. The way of nature tells us that the more accommodating a place is to various species, the easier it is to survive on this place. Similarly, for humans, those who have an open mind and embrace diverse ideas and lifestyles are more likely to avoid disasters and move towards prosperity and happiness. As the saying goes, the one who steals will not become wealthy, and the one who treats guests well will not be poor. If a person's home always has guests from all over, it will not be a place of poverty. Take the United States, for example. It is prosperous, strong, civilized, and free. Why? Because the United States embraces the largest number of multi-ethnic, multi-faith, multi-group, and multilingual immigrants in the world. Immigrants make up 15.3% of the total population in the United States. It is not difficult to understand from this point that in the past, present, and future, the United States has been prosperous and powerful. Conversely, when we look at poor and underdeveloped countries, most of them are closed and exclude foreigners. Biodiversity is a sign of prosperity, which aligns with the way of nature. A place that closes itself off and excludes outsiders goes against the way of nature, leading to inevitable poverty. Regarding individuals, those who refuse to accept new ideas, cultures, concepts, and lifestyles will inevitably become conservative, stubborn, and fall into poverty and decline. Phenomenon of disease. Disease is a sign of violating the way of nature. Following the natural way of rising with the sun and resting with the sunset is in accordance with the way of nature. Those who violate it will eventually fall ill. Regular routines in daily life and moderation in diet are in harmony with the way of nature. Violations of these principles will lead to illness. Negative mental states such as anger, comparison, envy, greed, aggressiveness, belligerence, selfishness, and the pursuit of pleasure and so on, also violate the way of nature, leading to illness. Here, I propose a Goldbach conjecture regarding diseases. I encourage readers to gather, summarize, analyze, and reason to verify it. The conjecture is, anyone who has a disease must have violated the way of nature, and anyone without a disease must be following the way of nature. Phenomenon of seeking immediate gain and profits. First of all, let me tell you that 99% of humanity seeks immediate gain and profits. Any phenomenon of seeking immediate gain and profits is a violation of the way of nature. From forcing children to abandon play for studying to commercial endeavors seeking the first bucket of gold, bribery and corruption in the business world, or cutting corners to get ahead. All these attempts to gain benefits by violating natural laws and even in the realm of spiritual cultivation. Many people barely scratch the surface of cultivating themselves but wish to become immortals or enlightened beings. Moreover, Many people lack even basic knowledge of how to be a decent human being. Yet, having learned only a few pieces of patchwork jargon related to spiritual cultivation, they audaciously present themselves as masters, attempting to propagate their teachings and mislead others. Many people show a lack of diligence in their studies, resort to deception and trickery in their work, fail to contemplate deeply in their thoughts, and neglect serious academic inquiry. Yet, they constantly harbor the desire to achieve rapid success and prosperity. But where can such success come so easily and effortlessly? Once they achieve their wishes too effortlessly, without a doubt, they step into a trap and plant hidden dangers. Planned economy and market economy. Planned economy violates the way of nature, while market economy aligns with the way of nature. When we observe nature, no human intervention is required for management. Species naturally reproduce and their populations self-regulate. Over billions of years, nature proceeds orderly without disorder. However, once humans intervene, disrupting the natural course, disruptions occur, and calamities like droughts, floods, pest infestations, fires, extreme heat, and extreme cold emerge. Similarly, looking at countries, those with market economies prosper, while those with planned economies will inevitably be poor and underdeveloped. The more government intervention, the worse the situation becomes. Conversely, the less government intervention, the healthier and more prosperous the economy becomes. The application of the way of nature in daily life is discussed through the above-mentioned phenomena. In human society, there are countless occurrences of deviating from the way of nature. I hope everyone can take the examples I provided as a starting point and extend their understanding to other situations, gradually realizing the benefits of following the way of nature. I can clearly tell you that the way of nature is the way of the greatest creator. 论借力天时之机密 On borrowing the opportune moments of heaven's timing. Xiefeng, November 12, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. When the timing of the heavens is off, the sun and moon lack radiance. When the timing of the earth is off, grass and trees do not thrive. When the timing of water is off, the waves are not calm. When the timing of people is off, the flow of fortune is blocked. Rhapsody on dwelling in the mountains. The timing of heaven is a subtle mechanism, and the opportune moment is the way of heaven. When the opportune moment arrives, all things respond and flourish. When it departs, all phenomena follow randomly and wither away. Humans possess the insight into the subtleties of heaven's timing. Following the timing of heaven brings smoothness and prosperity, while going against it leads to stagnation and obstruction. Heaven's timing is beyond human control or manipulation. The only way to prosper is to align with the timing and circumstances. There is a saying, times create heroes. But it is not just heroes. Times also create the wealthy, tyrants, experts, and scholars. Both fame and fortune are created by seizing the opportune moments, while disasters and misfortunes are similarly formed. Ignorant and foolish people do not understand the timing of heaven, and those who go against it will face hardships. Even if one has vast knowledge and aspirations to conquer the universe, going against the timing of heaven makes it difficult to display one's talents and fulfill one's ambitions. Conversely, petty individuals, when they follow the timing of heaven, can also have luxurious mansions, fancy cars, and a bustling scene of carriages and horses in front of their gates. Those who truly understand the secrets of seizing opportune moments are humble and unpretentious. They avoid calamities by acting humbly. Those who are arrogant and rely on their talents are unaware of the secrets of heaven's timing and will inevitably face punishment. A person's talents are shaped by the circumstances of the times. Without favorable circumstances, there are no talented individuals. For example, during the Cultural Revolution, there were no private entrepreneurs. It is wrong to say that heroes create their own opportunities. Without the assistance of favorable timing, a hero could be a thug, but with the support of favorable timing, a thug can instantly become a hero. Natural timing and social timing are distinct. The changing of the four seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, is natural timing, which humans can only follow and not alter. Social timing arises from the cycle of cause and effect. When negative karma exceeds a critical threshold, the timing will turn adverse. Conversely, when positive merits surpass a certain threshold, the timing will turn favorable. For individuals, they should be modest and humble, conforming to the natural timing, which is to revere nature. When social timing conflicts with one's nature, one should hide their talents and bide their time. When social timing aligns with one's nature, they should seize the opportunity to fully display their abilities. Opportunities lost may never return. There are major and minor opportune moments. Major opportune moments refer to global-scale occurrences, such as the global use of masks. Minor opportune moments refer to local events, such as Ukraine facing an invasion, which leads to emigration. To follow the timing of heaven is to borrow its power and seize the opportune moments. Just like migratory birds migrate with the power of heaven, the rise of private entrepreneurs is also supported by the power of heaven. Going abroad to study and start a business also benefits from the assistance of the timing of heaven. If social timing closes the country's borders, how can one fulfill their desire to go abroad? Therefore, in countless threads and fibers, its essence remains unchanged. Let it gather and disperse as it may. The willow tree still gracefully sways. Don't mock the fleeting beauty of spring's soft fluff, for it has no roots yet endures the gusty stuff. With a favorable wind as my guide, I ascend high and bright, riding on good fortune, soaring to the heights. When the weather is clear, dry the grass. When the iron is hot, strike it. Noble people are hard to encounter, but when you do, be respectful. Good timing is hard to come by, but when you encounter it, seize it. Do not miss the opportune moments, as missing them leads to regret and disappointment. 城市在天内裤被扒掉的启示. Achieving success through heavenly timing. Insights from losing my underpants. Xiefeng, March 8, 2023. Edited by Chinyo. Last night, the four of us were playing the card game, Struggling Upstream, a Chinese card game similar to Hearts, and I ended up losing all my clothes. Note, in this context, ba gong refers to losing all the chips in the game, not stripping off clothes. In the game, losing a round results in losing one chip, and losing 5 chips is considered being ba gong, stripped off. Winning a round gains you 1 chip. Each player starts with 5 chips for each round of the game. For me, it was an experience of utter defeat, something I hadn't experienced since I started playing the game at the age of 4 or 5. Could it be that my card skills have regressed? No. It's that the Tao has bestowed upon me a profound gift, allowing me to further understand the rules and principles hidden within the seemingly chaotic and disorderly holographic order. The ancient sages have long told us, man plans, and the heavens decide. Before one experiences a thorough defeat, these teachings are merely theoretical without personal experience and realization. Only through experiencing failure or triumph can one truly comprehend their essence. In the control of the Tao, regardless of how exceptional one's card skills are, or how good the cards they hold, they may still lose and be left with nothing, stripped bare. Similarly, regardless of how poor one's card skills are, or how bad the cards they hold, they still have a chance to win the game. Just observe people around you. Some may be exceptionally good-looking, yet their lives are miserable. Some may have a humble appearance but live for 100 years in peace. Some may possess exceptional talent and intelligence, yet meet a tragic end. Some may be ignorant and clueless, yet live their lives unscathed. Some may be immensely wealthy, yet end up in prison. Some may live their whole lives in poverty but still enjoy family happiness. I have written an article called Mahjong, Holography, and Chinese Culture, which was inspired by playing Mahjong and understanding the underlying principles. Last night, while playing poker, struggling upstream, I further realized the profound connotation of man plans and the heavens decide. Those who have played Mahjong and poker must deeply feel that in a game with 4 players, the cards you draw each time are different from the last time. Even if you play all your life, it is difficult to draw a hand identical to a hand you previously held. The 54 card combinations are astronomical, seemingly random, disorderly, and chaotic. Yet, each player's outcome is almost predetermined. This is the principle of holography, where hidden within the seemingly chaotic disorder lies strict and elusive rules and principles. Behind these rules and principles, There are mysteries that are unseen, unheard, and untouchable. These mysteries are the truth of holography, but they are not the entirety of the truth. The true core truth lies in Tao's holographic mechanism. Understanding the principles of the holographic mechanism, one will no longer seek quick gains, feel restless, impose one's will on others, or be overly competitive. In the holographic mechanism, the best way to live is to play, entertain, and experience, while everything else is illusory and transient. Only by understanding Tao's holographic mechanism can one become a celestial being. 同维度认知解决不了同维度矛盾. Cognition within the same dimension cannot resolve internal conflicts. Xiefeng, May 17th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Can those who love marriage and family solve the series of conflicts and crises that occur within them? The answer is impossible. It's like standing in a muddy pit and trying to clean your feet. It's not possible. Just as a mouse cannot solve the crisis of being caught by a cat with its level of cognition, and just as a patriot cannot build a world of great harmony. It's as futile as a fish trying to fly to a forest to settle in and sing. Farmers cannot solve their own contradictions and crises, and likewise, workers and intellectuals cannot solve their own contradictions and crises. Similarly, a nation, a country, a political party, and a religion cannot resolve their own contradictions and crises because cognition within the same dimension cannot solve conflicts within that dimension. Humanity itself cannot solve its own contradictions and crises because human cognitive ability is limited by time and space. It always tends to focus on one thing at the expense of others. When one contradiction is resolved, it will sow the seeds of another 8 contradictions. And when one crisis is resolved, it will give rise to 8 more crises. People coming from other places can easily discover the deficiencies and shortcomings of the local area. People from developed areas can easily find business opportunities and make money in less developed regions. The contradictions and crises of an underdeveloped or even impoverished country need people from developed civilizations to resolve them. Humanity's contradictions and crises require extraterrestrial beings to solve. From this, we understand a principle. To resolve conflicts, confrontations, and crises, do not seek solutions and approaches within the same dimension. Internal contention results in an increase in entropy, leading to rigidity and death. Instead, actively and proactively introduce people and cultures from different dimensions to overcome one's own contradictions and long-standing problems. The more pronounced regionalism, nationalism, and patriotism, the less conducive it is to resolve one's own contradictions and crises. This principle also applies to individuals. The stronger the ego, the better one feels about oneself, and the more reluctant one is to listen to others' advice, the greater the hidden crisis on the path of life. Because individuals cannot truly know and understand themselves, those around them are more aware of their situation. When a person rejects the advice of others and stubbornly insists on their own course of action, crises and dangers await ahead. Therefore, when a person is troubled, suffering, and worried, the best approach is to abandon their own cognition and seek external methods to solve the problems. If one always believes they are right and refuses to listen to others' advice, their troubles, suffering, and anxieties will not decrease but instead increase. In conclusion, do not seek solutions and ways to resolve crises within the same dimension of people and culture. Instead, look to people and cultures from different dimensions to find solutions and paths to overcome problems and crises. 问题无解向外探索. If a problem seems unsolvable, explore beyond its boundaries. Xiefeng, June 26, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Suppose a group of people live in a dim, dark, damp cave. How can they break free from this predicament? Is it possible to transform the gloomy, wet cave into a sunny, comfortable environment? Trying to study, research, strive, and work hard inside the cave is almost futile. The best way is not to contemplate within the cave, but to step out of it. Stepping out of the cave, one would embrace the bright spring scenery, clear mountains, beautiful waters, fresh air, and vast territory, and all discomforts would vanish. In August 1896, China was a place where men wore long braids and women bound their feet. Ox carts and horse carriages were commonly seen on the streets. The houses were made of mud, and the roads were made of earth. Even a gust of wind could blow up clouds of dust. Beggars were everywhere, and there were no household electrical appliances, not even a flashlight. At that time, Li Hongzhang visited the United States and saw skyscrapers on the streets, with cars passing by, men in suits and leather shoes, and women bared their chests and shoulders. There were electric lights indoors. The contrast with China was immense. If he had not ventured abroad, Li Hongzhang would never have known how backward China was at that time. In 1978, China's per capita GDP was only $156, while the per capita GDP of the world's poorest countries in sub-Saharan Africa was $490. Monaco in Europe had a per capita GDP of $38,400, the United States was $10,600, and Japan was $8,821. Imagine how much China resembled a group of people living in a cave who had never seen the world. At that moment, Chinese leaders decisively abandoned the policy of isolation and sent a large number of government officials to various parts of the world for investigation, especially to developed Western countries. As a result, they broadened their horizons and opened their minds. Subsequently, China found its path of development through reform and opening up, leading to over 30 years of rapid economic growth. If they had not explored development outside but continued to study development ideas inside the cave, it would have been difficult to maintain a per capita GDP of $156. How long does it take to register a company? I don't know which country has the fastest company registration process, but I registered a company in a certain country in less than 10 minutes. There was no need to bribe officials, nor did I need to find acquaintances. I selected the company name, signed, paid, and received a complete set of company documents, all within the said time. Throughout human history on Earth for thousands of years, how many people have lived happily, joyfully, freely, and blessedly? Are there any? There are very few. More people live in distress, pain, conflict, struggle, oppression, anxiety, and fear. Why has this issue concerning all of humanity remained unresolved for thousands of years? Take a look at all the so-called great figures and thinkers throughout human history. Observe their thoughts and actions. Look at the discussions on the internet today, especially those of so-called masters, including high-ranking officials in the United Nations and presidents and leaders of various countries. They are all contemplating and pondering within the cave. Why don't they go outside to take a look? By stepping out of the Earth and observing the stars and oceans of the thousand-year world planet and following their way of life, all the problems facing humanity will be easily solved. By walking out of the Earth and exploring the thousand-year world among the vast sea of stars, following their way of life, wouldn't all the problems faced by humanity suddenly become clear and easily solvable? If a problem cannot be solved in Christianity, look for answers in Buddhism. If Buddhism cannot solve a problem, look for answers in Islam. If Islam cannot solve a problem, look for answers in Taoism. If Taoism cannot solve a problem, go to the frontiers of science for answers. If science cannot solve a problem, look for answers in theology and metaphysics. In short, do not seek solutions and paths within your own cave of knowledge and cognition. Instead, step outside your own cognitive circle and seek answers outside. For some problems, it is much more difficult for those within the circle to find a solution than ascending to the sky. But by stepping out, one will find that others had already solved them hundreds or even thousands of years ago. I once wrote an article called, "When you think you're right, you're already wrong." If we do not step out of our own circle of knowledge and cognition, closing ourselves off in our own cave, then we will follow in the footsteps of past mistakes. Even after 10,000 years, humanity will still be trapped in the sea of suffering and unable to extricate itself. Isolationism, closing our eyes and ears, blocking information, shouting slogans, and paying no attention to external affairs will inevitably lead to ignorance, backwardness, barbarism, and ultimately extinction. 我的自然之道观. My view of the way of nature. Xiefeng, December 4th, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. I emphasize that Life Genuine follows the way of nature because it is synonymous with the way of the greatest creator. Nature equals the greatest creator, and the greatest creator equals nature. Nature embodies all the laws and principles of the universe. Everything in the universe exists and evolves within these laws and principles. In this sense, nature is Tao, and Tao is nature. Tao is the spirit of the greatest creator, the consciousness of the greatest creator. Therefore, we know that the greatest creator, Tao, and nature are one. The greatest creator equals Tao equals nature. Nature equals Tao equals the greatest creator. Everything perceived by the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind is a manifestation of nature. Every phenomenon, every event in nature, is part of its evolutionary process, from the fluttering of a butterfly's wings to the violent eruption of a volcano. From a person sneezing to the explosion of a star, everything happens within the embrace of nature, so we should follow the way of nature. In fact, whether we follow the way of nature or not, the reality is that we are already within the way of nature. Everything in the universe is within the way of nature. No life, no phenomenon, no event can escape the palm of the way of nature. Understanding both the essence and the reason behind things, having a clear mind and bright eyes, brings us endless benefits. Firstly, our journey of life will become simple, light, joyful, and pleasant, rather than complex, heavy, troubled, and painful. Secondly, we will avoid reefs, pitfalls, obstacles, and deception, making our journey of life smooth and safe. Finally, by following the way of nature, we can reach a better space. I'll give some examples to illustrate. In Life Genuine, there is no idol worship, just a love for nature. Life Genuine does not celebrate festivals related to gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and saints. Nor does it celebrate festivals related to countries, nations, great peoples, monasteries, shrines, or churches. We just integrate into nature. Isn't life simpler and easier this way? Things undergo cycles of formation, duration, decay, and emptiness. Life experiences cycles of birth, aging, sickness, and death. This is the way of nature. Therefore, we will no longer mourn the decline of something, nor will we sorrow over our own aging or the passing of our loved ones. I live each day happily and freely, allowing everything to return to its rightful place, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. Why in Life Genuine? One should not interfere with others' minds and affairs. Because everyone is within the way of nature, everyone has their own unique life trajectory and destiny. Interfering with others' minds and affairs not only annoys people, but also disrupts and influences nature's arrangement for them. Therefore, watching someone go to heaven without jealousy or interference. Watching someone go to hell without intervention or interference. Great as the sun, beautiful as peony flowers, have never interfered with anyone's destiny for millions of years. So small as you and me should not impose influence on others. Life Genuine does not advocate the cultivation of supernatural powers, gong, magic, and techniques, because as humans, the way of nature has already arranged everything for us. All the skills needed for survival are provided. Even the thresholds of hearing and sight are set to protect us. Otherwise, if we could hear plants growing, hear people talking 3 kilometers away, see ghosts around us and gods in the sky, we would not survive. Therefore, as humans, longing for and seeking supernatural powers, gong, magic, and techniques are contrary to the way of nature, and it goes against the way of nature. Understanding the way of nature, we can be as calm as water and tranquil and serene. Born in poverty? Well, that's okay. Born into wealth? Well, that's fine too. Stay in a 5-star hotel? Feels great. Stay in a thatched cottage? Wow, beautiful. In short, adapt to circumstances and remain calm. A mouse is a mouse, a cat is a cat. This is the arrangement of the way of nature, so there is no insistence on others, nor on oneself. No insistence on cabbage having the value of radishes, no insistence on wolves turning into herbivores. No insistence on children becoming rich and famous, no disdain for parents not leaving a substantial inheritance. No insistence on others acting according to one's own intentions, nor insistence on oneself becoming a certain type of person. Act according to one's own inner preferences, become the person that the universe needs according to the arrangement of nature, play the role that one should. After walking the way of nature, I discovered that selfish desires and attachment to the self are contradictory to the way of nature. Consequently, selfish desires and attachment to the self vanished. Without them, I eventually realized that I belonged to a heavenly life, having transcended the ordinary. It turns out that selflessness leads to self, and selflessness leads to fulfillment, is the highest and most profound secret of cultivation. Only by reaching the state of having nothing can one discover that they possess everything. After understanding the way of nature and adhering to it, looking back at everything in nature, observing everything happening in human society, and witnessing the aspirations and actions of people around us, it's full of humor, very funny. While for yourself, like driving with a GPS navigation map installed, regardless of how complicated the roads or how challenging the city may be, you will eventually reach your destination. 量子力学测不准原理与人的命运. Uncertainty Principle in Quantum Mechanics and Human Destiny. Xiefeng, December 5th, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. In my article, All Our Efforts and Contributions Accumulate Virtue for Ourselves, I elaborated on a principle that suggests, according to the conservation of energy theorem, the sum of positive and negative energies in the universe is zero. This phenomenon, like as you sow, so shall you reap, can be deduced to speculate on a person's future scenarios based on factors such as their psychological activities, words, behaviors, expressions, attitudes, and postures. In other words, a person's life trajectory and destiny can be predicted. However, some have questioned this, arguing that microscopic particles exhibit random Brownian motion, and the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics tells us that human destiny cannot be predicted. The skepticism is very valuable. Now, let's analyze and explore whether the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics can be applied to predicting destiny. Before delving into this, let's first understand what Brownian motion, quantum mechanics, and the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics mean. Describing scientific concepts in academic language can be challenging for the public, so I prefer simplifying complex scientific concepts for better understanding. Brownian motion refers to the random movement of particles. Most people who have studied in school have observed the erratic movement of molecules. Under a microscope, all molecules move aimlessly, colliding with each other randomly, creating a chaotic motion. What is quantum? Again, avoiding scientific jargon, let's understand quantum like this. Traditionally, energy is continuous and cannot be measured in discrete units like 1, 2, or 3. For instance, when we measure the length of an object, we can be precise to, say, 1.259264819 meters. However, many objects in the objective world can only be measured in whole units, not in decimal points. For example, if you count the number of sheep in a pen, you can't say there are 13.483256 sheep. You can only say there are 13 or 14 sheep, not 0.483256 sheep. When scientists discovered that light exhibits both particle and wave properties, thus having wave-particle duality, Max Planck found that the flow of electromagnetic energy is not continuous but occurs in discrete packets. He coined the term quantum to measure this energy packet. When sunlight shines on a metal plate, photons can knock electrons out of the metal plate, creating a flow of electrons, which forms an electric current. This phenomenon is known as the photoelectric effect. In the photoelectric effect, electrons are not excited by the intensity of light, but by the frequency of photons. Einstein discovered the particle nature of light, and the smallest unit for measuring the energy of photons is called a quantum. This wave-particle duality of light overturned traditional understanding, and the need to describe this phenomenon with concepts beyond traditional cognition led to the birth of quantum mechanics. Thus, Newtonian mechanics became known as classical mechanics, and the principles that classical mechanics cannot explain became known as quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics explains the laws of motion of microscopic matter and represents a major leap in human cognition beyond classical mechanics. So, what is the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics? The essence of the uncertainty principle is, strictly speaking, The principle of indeterminacy principle. Uncertainty and indeterminacy are two completely different concepts. Uncertainty implies almost negation, while indeterminacy neither affirms nor denies. The meaning of the uncertainty principle is that if the position of a microscopic particle can be determined, then its momentum, such as velocity, is difficult to determine, i.e., uncertain. Conversely, if the momentum, such as velocity, of a particle can be accurately measured, then the position of the particle is difficult to determine or uncertain. In classical mechanics, knowing the velocity and time allows for the accurate determination of position. However, in quantum mechanics, even if the velocity and time are known, the position cannot be determined, and the more accurate the velocity and time values, the more difficult it is to determine the position. Photons or electrons, are they appearing in wave form or particle form? This is difficult to determine because they are in a superposition state. Only when an observer appears will they present a certain fixed form. Without an observer, it's difficult to determine whether they are particles or waves. In order to explain and resolve this dilemma, the concept of Schrödinger's cat was born. The cat locked in a sealed box could be alive or dead. It's impossible to determine whether the cat is alive or dead before opening the box. Only when an observer opens the box can the cat's state be determined. Before it's determined, it can be said that the cat in the box is both alive and dead. Schrödinger believed that the cat is either dead or alive. The state of being both dead and alive does not exist. Therefore, Schrödinger denied the superposition state of being both dead and alive. Based on this, an American scientist introduced the concept of parallel universes. He believed that the superposition state does not exist at all, not because the observer's presence collapses the superposition state, but because it splits. Seeing the cat alive is in one real world, while seeing the cat dead is in another real world. The wave-particle duality principle is the same. In one real world, the electron you see is in wave state, while in another real world, the electron you see is in particle state. Or it can be said that one person sees the cat as dead, while another person sees it as alive. Who is wrong? Neither, because the two people are in different worlds, and the forms of the macrocosm they see are different. Having understood Brownian motion, quantum mechanics, and the uncertainty principle, let's reevaluate the validity of the law I propose that all our efforts and contributions are to accumulate merits for ourselves. Firstly, the irregular movement of molecules in the microscopic world cannot describe the motion of substances in the macroscopic world. In the macroscopic world, Newton's classical mechanics is still correct. If I drive home from 300 kilometers away, maintaining a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, then I can arrive home in 3 hours. This is definite, not uncertain. 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. This is definite, not uncertain. The irregular molecular movement we observe under the microscope is based on the premise that all molecules involved in the movement have equal values and the same molecular weight. Because the molecular weights are equal, when they collide with each other, they still follow Newtonian mechanics, that is, the law of equal and opposite action and reaction forces. So, their movements always appear irregular. But when one of the molecules has a molecular weight much greater than the surrounding molecules, as long as it determines a direction of motion, the other molecules cannot stop it. Its movement is no longer irregular, but regular towards one direction. Even a piece of iron, as long as strong positive and negative currents are applied to both ends, the electrons in the iron with irregular movement will immediately move uniformly in the same direction. If you put an iron rod into a coil and pass an electric current through the coil, the iron rod will be magnetized. From then on, the molecules with irregular movement in the iron rod will move uniformly towards the same direction. Therefore, it can be known that the irregular movement of particles in the microscopic world cannot overthrow the law that all our efforts and contributions are to accumulate merits for ourselves. At a hub railway station with a four-directional railway network, we often see crowds of people surging and passengers flowing endlessly in the railway station. On the surface, these people seem to be moving irregularly, but in fact, each person is walking towards their destination amidst the collision of the crowd. Secondly, let's look at quantum. Perhaps many people equate quantum with molecules, atoms, electrons, protons, neutrinos, and so on. Molecules, atoms, electrons, etc., are all particles, a kind of substance. While quantum is a unit of measurement of energy for a particle, it is not matter. Therefore, it is wrong to use quantum to measure or compare human thoughts, which is a conceptual error. The uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics only applies to the movement forms of particles in the microscopic world. Although the human body is composed of electrons, which exhibit wave-particle duality, it's essential to recognize that graphite and diamond, both consisting of carbon atoms, have vastly different properties. Therefore, we cannot infer the characteristics of diamond based on those of graphite. In other words, we cannot treat the lead core of a pencil as if it were a diamond. The future of every individual can be predicted and determined. When we look at the vast crowd in human society, it resembles the irregular movement of molecules under a microscope. For those who lack faith, have no definite life view, values, worldview, direction, or destination, their future is determined, that is, continuous reincarnation. In times of peace, if someone commits murder, then his future is essentially determined, either going to prison or receiving the death penalty. If someone frequents the casino every day, although the roulette wheel in the casino appears to be a random event, what can be determined is that eventually, those who participate in gambling will lose everything they have. If an official frequently accepts bribes, it can be determined that he will eventually be imprisoned. If someone is lazy and very selfish, it can be determined that they will lack clothing and suffer from poverty. When I plant a watermelon seed, it can be determined that watermelon seedlings will grow, watermelon vines will grow, and eventually, watermelons will be harvested. It is impossible to use the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics to say, it's uncertain. Maybe roses will grow, and no fruit will be harvested. So, who can escape the consequences of their actions and words? The uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics is fundamentally inapplicable to the issue of human destiny. Laozi's saying divine punishments, though slow, are always sure. With big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through, is absolutely a law of the universe. To understand the cause of past lives, look at what you are experiencing in this life. To know the consequences of future lives, look at what you are doing in this life. This simple statement holds profound philosophical insight into life. Now let's look at the future of Chanyuan celestials. Before becoming Chanyuan celestials, they can be said to be moving irregularly, but when I guide everyone onto the Tao of the greatest creator and the way of life Changyuan towards the celestial island's continent, it's like magnetizing the iron rod. I continuously infuse spiritual and mental energy, so all electrons in the magnetized iron rod move uniformly towards one direction, and the ultimate result of the movement must be reaching the celestial island's continent. I shout loudly in the crowd. Who's going to South Africa? Those who want to go to South Africa, follow me. So, some people say, I want to go to South Africa. So, I start processing visas for South Africa, buying tickets to South Africa, packing necessary luggage, and pre-booking hotel rooms in South Africa for everyone. Can these people ultimately reach South Africa? We cannot use the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics to say, who knows? They might end up in the UK instead. Are the Chanyuan celestials undergoing Brownian motion, or is their future destination uncertain? 生命禅院对佛祖上帝不献祭. Life at Chanyuan does not sacrifice to the ancestor of Buddha the greatest creator. Xiefeng, January 5, 2024. Translation edited by Chinyo. If I cut off your finger and solemnly offer it to you as a sacrifice, would you accept my offering? Everything in the world belongs to the greatest creator. All life in nature is part of the greatest creator. Offering back what belongs to the greatest creator is akin to cutting off his toes and presenting them to him. Would the greatest creator be willing to accept that? Offering life as a sacrifice to the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, is not reverence for the greatest creator. Instead, it is blasphemy against him. At some point in history, humans sacrificed other humans to spirits, burning them alive as offerings. That was an ignorant and cruel sacrifice. Modern society has gradually entered a civilized era, so sacrificing living humans is no longer practiced. However, when we slaughter cattle, sheep, chickens, and ducks as offerings to the spirits. The form has changed, but the essence remains the same. This practice is not acceptable. The ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, would never accept expressions of reverence, respect, and love from us through killing lives. To express reverence, respect, and love for him, we should do so by revering and protecting nature and all life, not through sacrificial offerings. Who enjoys receiving sacrifices from people the most? The answer is demons and monsters. If you don't understand this truth, just take a look at Journey to the West. In Journey to the West, demons and monsters most enjoy people expressing fear, terror, and begging for mercy through sacrifices, and the best offerings are virgin boys and girls. 生命禅院不以男女姓氏评价人品. Life Changyuan does not judge a person's character based on their sexual activities. Xiefeng. January 5th, 2024. Translation edited by Chinyo. Personal freedom is a universal value, and individuals have the right to decide how to use their own bodies. In matters of sexual activity, as long as it is consensual and does not harm others or society, it is considered a personal matter and a personal freedom. Life Changyuan does not assess a person's character based on their sexual activities. Tianqi Pian, Tianqi Pian Qianyan. Preface to the chapter on Revelations. Xiefeng. The spirit, Tao, of the greatest creator and the universe are inseparable, just as the earth and life are intertwined. The human body's organs, blood and marrow, sensory organs, hair, and consciousness are also interconnected as a whole. The greatest creator has never engaged in direct conversations with any individual in human-created languages. However, this does not mean that the greatest creator is distant from humanity. The greatest creator is constantly in dialogue with humans, but the form of communication is not through our human languages. Instead, it occurs through the language of the greatest creator. All things in the natural world are the language of the greatest creator, and all phenomena in nature are the utterances of the greatest creator. The sun, moon, stars, rivers, lakes, oceans, wind, clouds, rain, snow, humans, animals, birds, insects, trees, flowers, mountains, rocks, and the earth itself are all the language of the greatest creator. The movements of celestial bodies, the rushing of rivers, the roaring of the sea, the changing of weather, the falling of rain and snow, the shifting of seasons, the growth and decline of living beings, including the chirping of insects, the calls of birds, the shouts of humans, the neighing of horses, earthquakes, floods, thunderstorms, and lightning are all the speech of the greatest creator. Everything that humans perceive through their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body is the language and speech of the greatest creator. To understand the language of the greatest creator and comprehend his speech, one cannot rely solely on sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. It requires spiritual perception, but spiritual perception alone is not enough. Wisdom is also necessary. Without spiritual perception, we will never understand the language and speech of the greatest creator, and without wisdom, we will never grasp what the greatest creator is saying. Having spiritual perception alone without wisdom, we can only sense the presence of the greatest creator but cannot accurately understand the workings of the greatest creator's spirit, Tao. In other words, we may only know that we are destined to live and destined to die, but we are unclear about the reasons why we exist and why we must face death. This is referred to as knowing the what, but not knowing the why. Having wisdom alone without spiritual perception, we cannot truly perceive the existence of the greatest creator. We can only rely on accumulated human knowledge, experience, lessons, rigorous logical reasoning, and scientific experiments to uncover some mysteries of the universe, nature, and life. In other words, we may understand why we live and why we die, but we cannot comprehend the ultimate reasons behind the necessity of life and death. This is referred to as knowing the why, but not knowing the what. With the exception of a very small number of individuals who possess both spiritual perception and wisdom, generally speaking, religious figures have spiritual perception but lack wisdom, while scientists have wisdom but lack spiritual perception. The majority of the general population, who fall between these two categories, lack both spiritual perception and wisdom. They merely exist blindly, living their lives without a clear sense of purpose. The chapter of Revelations is the divine revelation given to me by the greatest creator. Before completing the chapters on unconventional thinking, the greatest creator, universe, time and Jesus warned me, do not give holy things to dogs, nor cast pearls before swine. Swine. The Buddha enlightened me. Speak for the Mahayana practitioners. The spirit of Laozi advised me, Tao, when obtained by a noble person, becomes the foundation of their self-cultivation, while when obtained by a petty person, it is treated lightly and without reverence for life. What should I do? I must heed the admonitions of gods, Buddhas, and immortals. However, in the vast sea of humanity, it is impractical for me to individually seek out noble individuals who practice the Mahayana path. Moreover, time is limited, and I don't have much time to patiently guide each person. Therefore, I have no choice but to follow the doctrine of the mean and adopt a middle path. I will conceal the mysteries and secrets beneath the surface of phenomena, only hinting at them. This way, those who possess spirituality and wisdom can see beyond the surface, transcend the vastness, and more easily discover the gems and gold beneath the earth's surface. As for the rest of the people, they will be like what Jesus said, though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In addition to Revelations and the other mentioned chapters, there is another chapter in Life Genuine called the Preaching of the Tao. This chapter is entirely different from the Tao Te Ching, and it can be said without exaggeration that the wisdom contained in the preaching of the Tao far surpasses that of the Tao Te Ching. For instance, when it comes to beings who are destined for or already in hell, Jesus' attitude is, lest they repent and be forgiven. On the other hand, in Buddhism, Bodhisattva Ksitigarbha vows, I vow to save all sentient beings in the world, and I will not enter the Elysium world until hell is empty. Who is right and who is wrong? Whose guidance should we ultimately follow? Preaching of the Tao specifically addresses such challenging questions. However, the timing is not ripe at the moment. Only when Life Genuine is widely accepted by all human beings can preaching of the Tao be shared openly. It is similar to constructing a building where exquisite chandeliers cannot be hung until the main structure is completed. Laozi said, When the highest type of followers hears Tao, the truth, they try hard to live in accordance with it. When mediocre types hear Tao, they seem to be aware and yet unaware of it. When the lowest types hear Tao, they break into loud laughter. If it is not laughed at, it is not Tao. Regarding the chapter of Revelations, those who understand will discern its true essence, while those who do not will merely spectate. Apart from that, I have nothing else to discuss. 人生需要一条跑道. Life needs a track. Xiefeng. February 27th, 2007. Edited by Kayer. Many talented people living among us appear to be mediocre, not because they are of low intelligence or are not gifted, but because they have either not found their own tracks or they have taken the wrong ones. Everyone has unlimited potential, but the main reason for not having given play to their potential is not because they are born stupid or have insufficient mental skills, but because they have never found their best life track from start to finish. No matter how excellent an aircraft is, it will never fly if there is no runway, for an aircraft with no runway will never be more than a pile of metal. No matter how much potential an excellent sprinter or long-distance runner has, his or her talents would remain buried without a racetrack, knowing not whether they are a mediocre horse or a swift horse until death. Life needs a track, and battlefields, business markets, officialdom, farms, and social realms all have lots of them. We must choose the track that best suits us, because it is only with the right track that we can give full play to our talents. Generals Eisenhower and Patton demonstrated their outstanding military talents because they had the track of war. But if there had been no tracks of war, who would even know their names? Zhu Jun, Yang Lan, and Ai Ping, and others have become the focus of millions of people, sparkling with brilliance, simply because they shared the track of television. Who would they otherwise be? Jet Li and Andy Lau rose to fame far and wide simply because of the track of movies. Throughout the history of Communist Party of China, many outstanding politicians, strategists, and diplomatic talents have emerged and many commoners became generals. It was because they took the track of the communist movement that they had brilliant lives. But without this track, their talents would have been drowned in life's ocean. Many people turned onto this track and formed the backbone of the state, and many others became millionaires or even billionaires because they took the business track after China's reform, when it opened up, and they gained much wealth. But what would their lives be like today without this track? Nobody knows. Many eminent Buddhist monks showed their superior wisdom because they followed the track of Buddhism. If you want to make something out of life, you must choose a track that suits your personality, because you cannot give play to your talents without the right track. Without the correct track, you will drown in the crowd. The internet is a track, and many people are shining with brilliance upon it, creating their own blogs and gathering their own social connections. A large number of authors, writers, critics, and practitioners are emerging on this track and are demonstrating their talents. You have to find your track, but if you do not see the proper one, you should build your own. Why? Because you will play better, be better at the game of life, and make your life more colorful. Do not pretend to be aloof and say that you are too good to engage in this, because that would be finding excuses for your incompetence and failures. A soldier who does not want to be a general is never a good soldier. A life that does not want to have a glorious course is never a good life. If you want to make big money, be the boss. For being the boss is the track to making the most money, and if you want to be an official, build your social connections. For building social connections is the track to being an official. There are numerous tracks, and they are everywhere, but if you want to play your talents to the maximum, you will have to choose a track with infinite prospect. If you choose a good track, you can have a good life, but if you choose a bad track, you can only have a bad life. Zhang Guotao abandoned the track of the Communist Party and eventually, unknowingly froze to death. On the other hand, Deng Xiaoping stuck with the track of the Communist Party and eventually had his wishes fulfilled. If you choose polishing shoes, then you will unconsciously be on the track of polishing shoes. If you choose to steal, then you will unconsciously be on the track of crime. If you choose to reap without sowing, then you will, over time, get on a greedy, selfish, and parasite track. If you choose a mass movement, you will be on the track of confronting the government. If you choose life genuine, then you are naturally taking on the track of trekking and climbing to the highest realm of life and life. Which is the best track? It depends on you. You must choose your track completely on your own. The best track is one that you can follow for a lifetime. Tracks can be regularly replaced if they are not good, because some tracks have no futures and lead to dead ends with steep precipices. You will have to sharpen your eyes to think and judge. Some tracks seem narrow and bumpy at first, but the more you walk on them, the broader, brighter, and more brilliant they become, while others look broad, densely populated, and big. Yet the more you walk on them, the more your feet hurt, you become confused and frustrated, and the narrower and darker they become. If you have the ability to rule a country, the ambition to ride on top of the world, and have both superintelligence and indomitable willpower, then you had better build your own track. If you do not, then you can borrow others' ready-made tracks. For example, instead of creating your own blogs with few hits, you might want to promote your ideas and display your talents on another's website or bulletin board. Instead of creating your own website with painstaking care and precision, yet having no visitors, you might as well demonstrate your skills on someone else's websites. Once you have chosen your track, you must not give it up too easily, for giving up means failure. Remember, 1,000 sails pass by the shipwreck and 10,000 saplings thrive beyond the withered tree. No one will sympathize with you if you fail. At most, they will express regrets and pity. Once you find that your track has no future, you must give it up as soon as possible and try to blend onto the track with the most brilliant prospects at once, because if you bite the bullet and play hard, you will only miss your opportunity and then grieve it for a lifetime. Remember, the earth will rotate the same, with or without you. A life needs a track. As long as the route is right, you can stride ahead. I hope you follow your splendid life track. 人生的主次先后，轻重缓急. Priorities, the order of importance and the emergence of life. Xiefeng, February 27th, 2007. Edited by Kayer. From the long-term perspective, we know that each life lasts for only a fleeting moment. Regardless of how capable we might be, we are incapable of escaping our inexorable doom. How to spend this fleeting life is a question deserving our serious consideration and discussion. Look at life from the perspective of life. Life is only a journey, a flash of light in the infinite time and space of life. Since life is so transient, we need to explore the routes and risks of our journey. What kind of life is the most beautiful? As we are all people, we must first consider how to be people. The greatest creator of the universe, created us and meant for us to be people, not ghosts, devils, celestial beings, Buddhas, or gods. If we surrender our humanness to devote our life, time, and energy to becoming higher forms, then we are doing it against the will of the greatest creator. It is only when we first conduct ourselves as people living by the will of the greatest creator that we can hope to attain Buddhahood at the end of our life's journey. It is as if the boss of a company hires someone to be a clerk. The clerk's purpose is to dedicate his efforts toward his own duty, not to ask his boss to consider him to be a section chief, because it is only after he performs his clerk's duties well that the company boss should offer him the opportunity to be promoted to the position of section chief. The intent of the greatest creator in creating us is to enjoy life and not to make us suffer at all. Because for human beings, the greatest creator is love, great love. I do not worship men of the hour or heroes who gallop onto battlefields, nor do I worship those great people who are admired by the masses, or the ordinary people who become Buddhas and gods of the mortal world. I only pay tribute to ordinary, simple, honest, and hardworking people, because those people's lives conform to the way of being mankind. Those who sacrifice their present life pleasures to focus on grace after death do so against Tao. The moralization teachings that people can only obtain well-being after going through affliction and suffering definitely leads them astray. The preaching that asks people to cultivate achievements with intensity, regardless of their family responsibilities, in an attempt to attain special magical powers and arts to glorify the mortal world is questionable. Could it be the devil's temptation? The practice of hyping celebrities, successful figures, distinguished scientists, outstanding entrepreneurs, millionaires, experts, emperors, great men, and heroes will prove to be disturbing, causing people to crowd onto the single-plank bridge and to forget the meaning of life. The benevolent see benevolence, and the wise see wisdom. Life Achanuan preaches that the ordinary life is the best life. Life's priorities and orders of importance and emergence should be as follows. The paramount thing in life is to revere the greatest creator, which mainly embodies reverence of nature and reverence of life. If we consider nature as appendages that can be arbitrarily spoiled, treat life, including animals, beasts, insects, fish, trees, flowers, and grass, as dirt, then we are defying and profaning the greatest creator. Our life is one of evil and is doomed to extinction, and we can no longer have a bright future. The first thing to consider and pursue in life is the beauty of the soul, rather than the accumulation of power, money, fame, and desirable people. If one's mind is not beautiful and their soul is dirty, then their life is bound to slip into hell. They are bound to keep company with devils and demons, and their life is a definite failure. The most important thing in life is to explore the mysteries of the universe and the meaning of life. The greatest creator always rewards the wise who have spiritual natures and wisdom and offers them wonderful spiritual enjoyment. If we affix our eyes only to the limited time and space, or even on meeting the needs of our lust, then we are bound to be lost and the water of life will evaporate. The most urgent questions in life are how to elevate the non-material structure of life, its spiritual nature, toward the development of higher life space directions, and how to sublimate our personalities and to perfect our spiritual natures. None of us know what will happen tomorrow. One certain thing is that our life structures will determine the life endings we will have. Everything in life should revolve around this point because if we die tomorrow, all that we own in the mortal world will be gone. All of our efforts will be in vain, and our precious lives will go wasted for nothing. I am talking about the great way of life. You may take time to think about this. Xiefeng is of no importance, but what is important is that Life Genuine can lead a person's life into an infinitely wonderful world. 寻找人生的最佳坐标系和坐标点. Find the best coordinate system and the best coordinate points of life. Xiefeng. Edited by Kair. This article was inspired by the annotation to the Analects, Shui Er, verse I. Once the roots are established, the way will grow therefrom. Having roots is the way to be human and how to learn about the universe. If you understand how to be human, you can lay the foundation to understand about heaven and the earth. If you do not understand how to be human, it will be difficult to learn about heaven and the earth. What is the way to be human? In my humble opinion, we must first understand our place in the time and space of the universe. Namely, that you are neither God, Buddha, a celestial being, a ghost, a devil, nor a beast, but that you are a mortal human. Knowing that you are a human, you need to do human things, speak human words, take the human way, and seek human business. You should not do ghostly things, speak the God's words, take the devil's way, or engage in absurd businesses. How does one do human things? Show filial piety to your parents, respect your teachers and seniors, care for the young and lonely, help your siblings, show concern for your relatives and neighbors, show compassion to plants and insects, and protect the landscape and the environment. These are human things, and anything that is contrary to them is inhuman. How does one speak human words? Consider if others were in your place and speak respectfully. Do not spread unsubstantiated rumors. Help others to resolve their differences and bring them peace. Advise others to do good things and not to go astray. Motivate people to make progress and fight for their futures. How does one take the human way? Be committed to your own duties. Manage your household with diligence and thrift. Be studious and make progress. Cast off your destructive habits. Take only what is right for you. Study that which is worthy of being studied. Take only the way of Tao, and do nothing against righteousness. How does one practice human business? Engage in farming, forestry, industry, commerce, or politics. They are human businesses. Human business is the foundation of social stability, and it underlies the success or failure of the family and the state. People who actively participate in these endeavors and pursuits are doing human business. If it is not a human business, even if it can bring you much quick wealth, do not do it. How does one avoid doing ghostly things? By not being sneaky and afraid of being found out by victims or the legal system, doing things that are offensive to heaven and reason, cheating a superior or deceiving a subordinate, dishonoring one's parents, bullying the young and the weak, wrongly accusing and murdering the good and virtuous, insulting the sovereign, duping the ignorant, speaking ill of one's peers, bearing false witness, rebelling against the clan leader, taking credit for the work of subordinates by bullying them, seeking favor by flattering, disrespecting one's countrymen, disrupting state affairs, rewarding unjust acts, harming and implicating the innocent, slandering the saints and sages, undermining morality, filling the cave and covering the nest, harming conception and breaking eggs, stealing others' achievements, discrediting their good conduct, disclosing their indecent secrets, injuring their appearance, separating children from their parents, wasting other people's money and resources, engaging in illegal conduct, forcing young girls to prostitute themselves, damaging marriages, taking away people's beloved, harboring murderous hearts, blaming others, desecrating ancestral graves, destroying homes, deluding with heretical doctrines, bewitching minds, talking about ghosts and monsters, or by poisoning the spirituality. These are some of nearly 100 items enumerated in Life Genuine, Life and Life. How does one not speak the God's words? They are the words of gods in heaven and are unknown to those who have not attained Tao. And even those who have attained Tao must be very knowledgeable about the truths of the universe. It is not something that ordinary people can understand. If you do not know how to be human but speak the God's words, then you are either talking nonsense or you have lost your mind. Mind. How does one not take the devil's way? By not misleading living beings, pursuing special magic arts and powers, inciting to rebel, promoting tyranny, touting heroes, singing the praises of totalitarianism, teaching others not to do the things of ordinary people, and other heterodoxical doctrines. All these are the devil's ways. How does one not engage in deluded businesses? By not farming their own land but still expecting wealth to arrive, not working but scamming, not studying or learning but expecting to know, not attending to their own business but wanting everything, being the blade of grass that wants to be a flower, the flower that wants to be in the orchard, the tiger that wants wings, or the bandit who want to be a deity celestial being. All these are absurd businesses. If roots are not established, then everything will be void, But if roots are established, then everything will be done. First be a person, then be a lady or gentleman. After that, follow the examples of the saints and sages, and then pursue the way to become a deity celestial being. Alas, the secrets of the Great Way are hidden to most people, but they reveal themselves to those who are enlightened. After seeking the Great Way everywhere for 3,000 years, it still hides in narrow margins. Therefore, to be a human being is the best coordinate system and the coordinate points of life. 感恩升华生命的第一要素. Gratitude, the first element of life's sublimation. Xiefeng, August 16, 2005. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Deformities lack beauty and make us feel unutterably upset and irritable or even disgusting. This is not a man-made feeling, but an instinctive rejection response like a physical allergic reaction to certain substances. Those without gratitude have deformed life structures, and this is the reason why we dislike and even hate some people. Life is a non-material structure which can be either deformed and unbalanced or perfect and symmetrical. Lives with more perfect and symmetric structures live in higher spaces of life, while lives with more deformed structures live in lower ones. All animals have life structures which are less perfect than those of human beings, so they can only survive at animal levels, while humans with perfect human natures and standards are celestial beings and live in higher-level spaces such as the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world because their life structures are superior to those of mortals and deities. It is like gases that exist at different levels of the atmosphere: the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, ionosphere, and exosphere. Life's ultimate goal is to evolve into higher-level spaces of life which result from the sublimation of one's life. This sublimation of life means letting one's own life, non-material structure transit into perfection. How does one transit? Gratitude. Who and what should we be grateful for? Here are 8 with reasons for each. Thank the greatest creator for giving us bright eyes to enjoy our beautiful universe with starry skies, rivers, lands, and all the trees and flowers. Ears to enjoy the splendid melodies of the nature. Love and affection between men and women to enjoy physical and emotional pleasures which are blissful slices of heaven. Who designed and created the free but invaluable air and rivers of pure water, and who allows our easy survival and reproduction. We are bathed in sunlight and moistened by rain and dew. So how could we not thank the greatest creator? Thank Jesus Christ for his favor when he came into the mortal world to atone for us with his precious life and brought hope to our suffering lives. Then thank Buddha, Muhammad, PBUH, and Lao Tzu for their favor. Their wisdom resolves our inner sadness, sublimates our humanity, maintains our human dignity, and gives us inexhaustible and precious spiritual values. Thank your parents for their kindness, who exerted tremendous effort to bring you up, whose love is so heavy that even a green mountain cannot carry it, and even time and space cannot extinguish it. Thank your children for the joy that they brought to you. Thank your friends and relatives for their encouragement, comfort, and help when you were in trouble. Thank your teachers for their hard cultivation. You see because you stand on their shoulders. Thank people with high ideals for drawing their swords and rendering help to you during emergencies. Thank your colleagues, classmates, and even strangers for their sincere praise and cooperation. Real happiness belongs to appreciative givers of thanks. Real light belongs to them, and bright futures belong to them. Those who are without gratitude, have no love in their hearts, never repent, are short of humanity, and only fall into the evil wallows of power, money, and fame, will never attain the chance to ascend to a higher space of life. It is by giving thanks daily that we can be bathed in the spirit of the greatest creator. Our life's non-material structure can ceaselessly evolve into perfection, and we can finally achieve the quality of becoming celestial beings. Comrades, learn gratitude. Even dogs know how to wag their tails to give thanks. Are we not as good as dogs? 真理, 天启篇之57. The truth. Xiefeng. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Pontius Pilate, the powerful Roman governor, asked Jesus, "What is truth?" Jesus declared, "I was born for truth. I have come to the mortal world to give the truth. I have witnessed the truth. Hundreds of millions of people have sought and died for the truth. So what is truth? Democritus, known to be the greatest ancient philosopher, said, "The truth is inscrutable." The most revered Socrates said, "What I really know is that I know nothing." The French philosopher René Descartes argued that only one undeniable truth exists. Ego cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. John Spall, governor of the Episcopal Church of the United States, said, "Absolute truth is something to which we may aspire, but that we can never attain." Influenced by Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, many people believe that truth is relative. Many religious organizations claim to be sole possessors of absolute truth. What is truth? Jesus said, "The Word of God is truth." Sakyamuni preached for 49 years. The core of his preaching was but one word, Tao. Lao Tzu mainly repeats one word throughout his Tao Te Ching, Tao. The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, said, Allah's ruling is based on Tao, truth. Confucius, the great sage of the Chinese nation, thought intensely and sought the truth for a lifetime. He finally grasped the core of Tao as he sighed and said, "Having heard Tao in the morning, one may die content in the evening." Life Genuine tells people again and again to take the way of the greatest creator. Why is Tao so important? Because Tao is truth and the truth is Tao. Both are the same. That is the reason why God, Buddha, the prophets, celestial beings, and saints have attached such great importance to Tao. In other words, they told us to follow the truth. Truth is truth. There is no absolute truth or relative truth. Truth can be described in eight ways. Truth is not optional. Truth is oneness without ambiguity. Truth is eternal, so there is no truth in the past, present, or future. Truth can be known but cannot be made. Truth is what scientists try to reveal. Truth comes to the Chinese Zen masters, unspeakable but subtle metaphysics to be awakened in the mind. All religions profess to uphold the truth, but they actually contradict it. All parties appear to uphold the truth, but they actually oppose it. Everything in the universe, including humanity, floats in an ocean of truth. Truth has eight attributes: emptiness, universality, trust, reliability, naturalness, justice, kindness, uniqueness, eternity. Let us expand on each of these attributes. Emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form does not differ from emptiness. Form is emptiness, and its very emptiness is form. Whatever emptiness is, that is form. Form comes from emptiness, and emptiness is Tao, the truth. Universality. All visible objects in the universe, including all living beings, originate from Tao but are the metaplasia of Tao. This is to say that all manifestations of the universe are the embodiment of truth, so truth is everything. Trust, reliability, all the laws of nature are manifestations of truth. They exist and run without the will of mankind. All laws are of conservation, reliability, and dependability, so truth is trust. If one does not keep their word, but lies or breaks their word, they will be acting against the truth. Naturalness. Truth is natural and undoubtedly logical. When fruits fall off trees after they ripen, things are managed easily. Truth is true, not false. People can know it, but cannot create it, and we can neither add to it nor reduce anything from it. If a person or an organization controls themselves with importunity, then they will be acting against the truth. As to a person, regardless of their birth, age, health, or even after death, whether they are rich or poor, and no matter how high or low their status ever was, as long as they have led a natural life without importunity, then they have taken the way of truth. The dying who would rather live, the living who would rather die, the poor who are not content in their poverty, and the rich who are not content with their wealth all act against the truth. Justice. Truth is equal for all things and people, and does not favor anything or anyone, just as death and air are fair and equal to everything and everyone. This is to say that anyone, regardless of their religious faith or party affiliation, no matter whether they are a doctor or illiterate, whether they are a tycoon or poor, and no matter whether they are the president or a shepherd, is equal before the truth. Everyone has the same opportunity to learn the truth and to take the way of the truth. Kindness. We already know that truth is Tao, the consciousness and spirit of the greatest creator. Therefore, truth is alive. Those who come close to the truth will feel natural and cordial as if returning to their hometown from long ago, and will feel sure-footed, calm, and comfortable. Uniqueness. Truth is meticulous and unique. There is no near truth or semi-truth. 10,000 roads lead to the same and only truth, but never lead to thousands of truths. All roads may lead to Rome, but Rome is the one and only Rome. Eternity. Since Wuji generate Taiji, truth has existed eternally. Even if the earth and mankind were to disappear, truth would still exist. As long as there is truth, there is eternal life in the universe. The universe is filled with truth and with life. Life exists not only on Earth, but also elsewhere, only in different forms. The Encyclopedia of the United States says, "The truth is often revolting, for it neither supports prejudice nor follows rumor, so that which causes people disgust is against the majority view, and sets people away is most likely to be the truth. The gate of truth is narrow, and only a few will find it and pass through it. Truth can only be known to a few people, for it is lost to the boisterous and noisy. It is a priceless treasure and the top priority to seek, to know, and to respect in life. For anyone who does, will attain eternal life and will reach the high-level life spaces such as the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium world. Just take time to comprehend. 走出心灵的埃及 Out of the Egypt of the Spirit. Xiefeng. August 16, 2005. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. The ancient Israelites were delivered out of Egypt with God's help, out of slavery and into freedom. Egypt is defined as the land of slavery, and the believers could only rid themselves of slavery by going out from Egypt. Where is our real Egypt? It lies within our hearts. It is easy for the body to be out of Egypt, but it is much harder to discard it from the mind. We all suffer from the slavery of the Egypt of the Spirit in various degrees, and we lead our lives with the Egypt of the Spirit on different levels. You are a slave to your own Egypt of the Spirit because you have not felt the breath of the new era. An unimaginable era is coming. A wave of energy will reach from the universe to the earth. Its prediction has been shown. When this wave reaches the entire earth, only those who are out of the Egypt of the Spirit will be able to survive it, for their common frequency will resonate with it, and those who remain within the Egypt of the Spirit, those who cannot resonate with this wave, will completely disappear from the earth. I, Dayform Buddha, have come here to inform you, to give you this sacred inspiration, and to lead you out of the Egypt of the Spirit and into the new Life-Genuine era. You should never resist me, for the consequence of such resistance will be your death. I depend on divine power, the love of Jesus Christ for human beings, the profound wisdom of Sakyamuni Buddha, the great ideal of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, the profound and lasting meaning of Fairy Lao Tzu, and the great mercy of Mao Zedong, who tried to liberate all the poor people who suffer from oppression and deprivation at the bottom. They must all focus on me and came together to form a magnificent picture, a mysterious force which is the strongest and the softest dark energy in the universe, able to withstand all the sludge and turbidity that will lead the people out of the Egypt of the Spirit, but who are pleasing to the greatest Creator and who are into the new Life-Genuine era. I, Dayform Buddha, by the revelation of the greatest Creator, do face all earthly citizens equally today, regardless of your sect, party, organization, nationality, or race, whether you are a king, a president, a civilian, or a prisoner, and no matter what your magnificent feats or unforgivable sins in the past have been, will treat all of you equally. You have an equal opportunity to accept this information and to have an equal opportunity to be out of the Egypt of the Spirit. You must not resist me. Upon learning this information, you must think it over quietly, digest it carefully, and sensitize yourself deeply. I will take nothing from you, place no chains upon you, and force no compliance out of you. Instead, I will lead you out of the Egypt of the Spirit and into the new Life-Genuine era to enjoy the finest life with the maximum freedom. See the leaves falling. They should have felt the winter coming. See the willow becoming green by the river. It should have heard the footsteps of spring approaching. You do not have much time to waste. I want you to set all your inflexibility aside to no longer attack each other and to waste no more time trying to overthrow political parties and regimes. Do not adhere to the opinion that we are right they are wrong. Because you have to think about your future. You can keep to your beliefs and faiths, but at the same time, you need to master the new knowledge and the new information as soon as possible and never to regard your own belief and faith as the only correct one. You must also not hold the feeling of being able to offer salvation because you have neither enough wisdom nor enough energy. Not only do you not understand the non-material world, but neither can you make the correct judgment nor choice with what happens in your own home. Live on the eve of great changes, you should feel joy and happiness and neither fear nor worry because you have a chance to enter a new era by your own efforts. Do not blaspheme my words, for unhealthy words will hurt and eventually destroy you with a precision. But this is not me, for I am neither ego nor non-ego. The greatest classics are still the Bible, the Quran, the Buddhist scriptures, and the Tao Te Ching. You have to admire Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, PBUH, and Lao Tzu in your heart. Before you read these four classics, you had better not say more or judge anything because what you would say could never equal to their wisdom. What you would say would be nonsense before you understand these classics which run in the opposite direction. The majority of people skim across the surfaces of things. You do not see the colossal forces below that support the icebergs above, and you think you are performing deeds of merit. But the truth might just be the opposite and you are actually sinning. I believe that you possess kindness, but kindness without great wisdom will more often than not lead to bad results. Taiji Celestial, the living messenger of Jesus, teaches us how much you have known of Tao and how much you can preach. Never judge or comment on things of which you do not know. Do not be an apologist, but be a preacher. Do not use any of these sentences or paragraphs to threaten or intimidate others, or you might be threatening and frightening yourself unless you can answer a series of questions from others. Family, nationality, race, party, and religion are the Egypt of the spirit. So you must walk out and just keep the greatest creator and your parents as your sacred territory. Do not rack your brains for your own family, nationality, party, race, or religion. It is helpless. It will not benefit humanity and is selfish behavior. These things will not exist in the coming Life-Genuine era. Do not sacrifice for things that are about to disappear. You need to have the courage to fail, to forgive the people who hurt you, and to make your mind up to surrender the mindset of a vengeful and hateful attitude. This kind of attitude is helpless in the sublimation of your life quality, but it will distort your soul and evolve the structure of your life into false, ugliness, and evil. As a conclusion, even trotting our enemies under our feet and killing them is helpless for the evolution of our spirits toward truth, kindness, and beauty. If people do not forgive others, but just want to satisfy their vanity, get some small psychological satisfaction, and have revenge followed by more revenge, the whole human psyche will be trapped in a vicious cycle and never find peace. The greatest creator is pleased by people who revere him. Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad, peace be upon them, were fond of their loyal disciples, and I, Dayform Buddha, also like those who can be my friends, and I am willing to give the visas of life to those who are willing to be my friends. These visas of life sound ridiculous at first and seem to be nonsense, however. Have you ever considered that life is a kind of non-material structure? If our spirit is sensitive enough, we can enter sesame seeds and go forward negative 10,000 kilometers to its center, and we can understand the meanings of life to see its structure. Quantum mechanics and string theory cannot explain the true meaning of life. Einstein and generations of master of scientists have tried to establish a unified field theory, but they have all ultimately failed. The reason is that they never understood the structure of non-material. What kind of life you lead depends on the attitude that you keep. It was said by Taiji Celestial that your state of life depends on your mode of thinking. Although this is true, it is not profound philosophy. It is reasonable and is easy to understand. Understand that you are able to understand the full meaning of the visas of life. The visas of life are kinds of non-material that will be directly embedded into the structure of the non-material substance of your life. Speed up the evolution for the structure of your life to be perfect and symmetrical. Put colorful halos around the structure of your life and protect you in your race along the space tunnel toward the high-level space of life. The soul is total existence, non-material without weight. Bodies will die, but souls will never die. The soul goes through the universe at negative relativistic speed, but man does not understand this. The moment you die, you will become aware that you are not dead, but that you have only abandoned your body as your life carrier, but have taken on board another life carrier to begin a new life voyage. When I say that one who remains in the Egypt of the spirit will disappear from the earth, I do not mean that their life will end, just their life on earth. You will have no chance to enjoy the sun, the sea, white clouds, or blue skies. You will bid farewell to your loved ones, and you will never see them again. You do not understand this now, and it is only at the moment of death that you will, however, it will be too late by then, and your regret will be eternal. Every word in this article is true. You can validate them from the perspectives of religion, classical thought, science, telepathy, from the perspective of logical reasoning, and from all the facts that can be found. It is not only your good fortune to learn the content of this article, it is also your destiny, and I am very glad for you. If you are willing to understand something special, be grateful to the greatest creator. All glory goes to the greatest creator and none goes to Deiform Buddha. And if you share or discuss this information with others, you must always pay tribute to the greatest creator, but never to Deiform Buddha. It would be blasphemous to deify Deiform Buddha, for you and all others would be led astray. If you are offended by this article and think it is heresy, you are innocent. Never doubt the word of the greatest creator, but place all the blame to me. I accept all the responsibility for it and for all who accept it. From where it has come to where it returns. It is demanded that once you read this article, you must pass it on to others without omitting a single word. You may print it or send it as email, but never keep it to yourself. Never cut off the lifeline to other people. If you were to do that, you would have to pay a high price for the lives of others, for this is a curse. If this article is true, you will achieve merit and virtues for spreading it, but if it is evil, you will be held as blameless and without harm for sending it out in its entirety. If you can repost this article onto other websites or even publish it in newspapers or magazines, it would elevate your merit and virtues absolutely. One day you will understand the benefits of the merit and virtues. Why not just lift a finger and do it? A slight error in thought may lead to either paradise or to hell. We hope that everybody will escape from the disaster and enter into the new Life Genuine era. 最小阻力原则 Taking the principle of least resistance. Xiefeng, August 16th, 2005. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. A watermelon that is picked violently will not be sweet, and a person acting under duress does not perform efficiently. Rowing a boat down a river is better than sailing up against the current, and buying a needle is better than grinding an iron rod into one. Enjoying hardships is better than struggling against them. So rather than forcing yourself to fight, you should just submit and relax. Cleaning the earth is better than terraforming Mars. Strengthening a nation is better than building the Great Wall. Dredging smoothly is better than preventing forcibly. Feeding a dog is better than training a pig to become one. And singing the praises of the living is better than flattering the dead. Use your head to create knowledge rather than to defend dogma. Using local materials makes more sense than importing them from across the ocean, but if none are available, it is better to move to another place. Obey nature and swim with the tide because everything changes, and do not store rotten apples. When the east is dark, the west will be bright. If it is dark in the south, there will be light in the north. People who were not raised here have obviously been raised over there. Change with the opportunity and take things as they come. Never complain about poverty when you are safe and well-fed. Never miss having meat when you have bread. Little birds that prefer to nest in the woods do not need to take to flying lessons from swans. One whose heart is not content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. An inflated desire will cause trouble, but a mind without material desire will remain calm. Ambition to fame may cause bitter revile. No diamond, no porcelain work. There is no need to force one to learn to play the piano if they were not born to love its music. It is vain to dream of singing beautifully without being able to carry even a simple tune. Never mind when you are reviled as bullshit. There is no need to be modest when you are praised as an expert or master. The flower blooms today, but protect its leaves or it will wilt tomorrow. It would be awful to miss the blooming season, for it will be lost when winter comes. You are loved and appreciated. That is a God-given opportunity, So why be cold and distant? The time to achieve your dream with God's blessing is when you are regarded as a sage or saint. So take advantage of the opportunity to realize a glorious life. Do not eat meat on the table, but chew the bones under it. Leave the awarded honor, but go through hardship. Being a crouching tiger with talent, but without carrying a load or playing a role, one will be a pile of broken bones to their death. Butterflies are pretty sights as they fly freely, but a buried gemstone is no better than the soil. People cannot stay pretty for 1,000 days and flowers cannot remain beautiful for 100. Although fine cellared wines exude beautiful fragrances, they are of no use until they are consumed. Drink as we have wine today and never plan for the following 1,000 years. Tsunamis and earthquakes might happen at any time, so who knows how long we will enjoy our lives. Value what you have. Anything that is easy to gain is actually a gift from the greatest creator. If there is a faucet in the house, why dig a well miles away? Treasure what is coming to you without rejection, but never waste your life daydreaming. If there are many hardships and troubles in that which you are engaged in, you must have misunderstood life. God punishes infatuated people, and hell serves for flaunting people. So why not lead the easy life? Great events are determined by Tao, not by people who do not even understand themselves. The best life can be led by acting along Tao. Wasting a God-given opportunity is acting against Tao. Gangsters should be ruled by demons, but sages should be led by saints. Whether evil or a sage depends on Tao. Speak words to people, talk ghostly when you meet ghosts, keep silent when you meet monsters, chirp and tweet with birds, howl with wolves, describe your aspirations when meet your soulmate, eat when you hunger, void when you must, but never complain to others if you made yourself starve or withheld waste. Buddha guides people with predestination and soulmates can be found in Life of Genuine. It is sad to have layers between hearts. Melons are just melons while apricots must be apricots. Everything depends on the telepathy. If melons want to be apricots or apricots want to be melons, the program will be out of order and the goals cannot be realized. Taking the principle of the least resistance, life will be smooth. 麻将混沌与中华文化 Mahjong, Holography and Chinese Culture Shuifeng. September 29, 2007. The root of Chinese culture is holography, or rather, the major vein of Chinese culture is holographic culture rather than Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. Holographic culture completely conforms to the Tao of the greatest creator, however. To be chaotic also means disorder, thus it is difficult to accurately express the meaning of the way of the greatest creator. So I regard the root of Chinese culture as the holographic culture. Many Chinese intellectuals have written articles calling for the renaissance of Chinese culture. After reading their articles, I feel bewildered and ask them in writing, which part of the Chinese culture do you want to revitalize? Not one of them can give me a definite answer or explanation. This shows that those who want to revitalize Chinese culture only have a good wish but do not really understand what Chinese culture is. Chinese culture is actually holographic culture, and the renaissance of Chinese culture means the renaissance of holographic culture. The cultural primogenitor of the Chinese nation is Fuxishi, whose main contribution to culture is Hechaluo Book and the Eight Diagrams. Taiji, the Eight Diagrams, Book of Changes, Liujia, Jiuxing, and Feng Shui in traditional Chinese culture all are derived from him. Hechaluo Book is also the origin of the theory of main and collateral channels and acupuncture point in traditional Chinese medicine, and the origin of Book of Changes, Feng Shui, Yin and Yang, and the Five Elements, the 8 characters about one's birth, Zaiwei de Shu, the selection of auspicious dates, divination, and necromancy. What Hechaluo Book expresses is a holographic phenomenon, Fuxishi's telepathy between man and heaven, and the scene of the universe resulting from the unity between man and heaven. The connotation of holographic phenomenon is the hologram of the universe. It's so expansive that nothing is excluded, and it can also be so small that nothing can be included. Every phenomenon and everything has a hologram telepathy with the universe. There is nothing independent of a thing, and no phenomenon independent of a phenomenon. To put it more vividly, the fluttering of wings by a butterfly in Alaska of America can trigger a storm in the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. A coughing by an Eskimo in the Arctic region may induce the fall of an Australian from a building. When interpreting the thinking of mankind, I discover that the most profound thinking is holographic thinking, which is followed in order by non-form thinking, Taiji thinking, visualized thinking, elusive thinking, and the like. The Confucian thinking is the material thinking, the lowest level of thinking. Taoist thinking is Taiji thinking. Buddhist thinking is non-form thinking. The Western thinking based upon science and technology is image thinking and associative thinking. The currently prevailing thinking of the new era, for example, Seth's thinking, conversation with God, the law of one, the disappearance of the universe, A Course in Miracles, and so on, belongs to elusive thinking. The ultimate road that man will take is holographic thinking, or rather, mankind will inherit, carry on, and promote the holographic culture. We can get to know and understand the holographic culture from the four phenomena revelation, the 8 diagrams, Huzi, and Mahjong. Revelation means the observation of the astrological movement in the sky, the search of the law of the earth, and the study of animals and plants, the close examination of what is near and the speculation of what is far away. In one word, we can have a direct dialogue with the greatest creator. The revelation that I have written may serve as an introduction for others to come up with something more valuable. The 8 diagrams means that Wuji gives birth to Taiji, Taiji gives birth to Yin and Yang give birth to 4 signs. 4 signs give birth to 8 Gua. 8 Gua gives birth to 64 Yao images. 64 images give birth to every phenomenon in the universe. Once the changes of 64 images are understood, it will be easy to understand the dialectical relations between changeable and unchangeable and understand the holographic principles. Huzi was the teacher of Lizi. Huzi could skillfully apply the holographic principles. By studying him, we can understand what holographic phenomenon means. Mahjong is a game popular among Chinese people. Do not disregard Mahjong, because it is really what holographic principle is about. A regular set of Mahjong has 136 pieces, consisting of 4 east, 4 south, 4 west, 4 north, 4 center, 4 fa, 4 white, 36 tiao, 36 bing, and 36 yuan. These pieces combine to form the astronomical numbers. Therefore, we can say that even if a person plays Mahjong every day all his life, he may never encounter a combination that is identical to any other combination or array. You feel as if lost in a maze. You may know things as they are, but do not know why they are so. It seems that everything is a matter of accident. There is no order to anything. Every time you play Mahjong, you hope for chance and luck, and are not sure whether you will win or lose. However, to be holographic is to be orderly. There are rules and laws to what is holographic. The rules and laws are meticulous and allow of no loopholes. What seems to be accidental and random is actually orderly and inevitable. People who play Mahjong all attach great importance to luck. If they win, they say they have good hand chi, luck. And if they lose, they say they hand chi is not good. What is hand chi? Everyone can have a try. If you do not have adequate sleep, if you are not in a good condition, or if you have had sex within the 24 hours, you will not have good hand chi. And the possibility for you to lose will be much higher than the possibility for you to win, unless other 3 people are in an even worse situation. Meanwhile, the direction you are facing and the 5 elements of all the players all have influence on whether you will win or lose. Therefore, if you want to win at Mahjong, you must maintain your vigor and good health and refrain from sex during the short period. If so, you are likely to enjoy good hand chi. Now the problem is, the combinations of astronomical numbers, which seem like a series of random occurrences, are actually closely in line with the hand chi of Mahjong players. If you do not have a good hand chi, you will lose the game no matter how well you can play it. This is where the holographic principles are working. Now let's take a look at these phenomena in the society. Many rich people and people who are good at making money actually have not received much education and do not work very hard, but they are very rich and can make much money. Many people in the officialdom do not have very high intelligence and are not so kind-hearted, but they have many opportunities and are promoted smoothly. On the other hand, many well-educated, intelligent, kind-hearted, and hardworking people are poor and cannot in any way have any opportunity for a promotion. And the secret is the holographic principle. One may fall victim to his own cleverness by outsmarting himself. Why? This is because of holographic principle. Mr. Zhang Baosheng, who is most accomplished in special skills in China, has not received very high education but his thinking is in a holographic state. And this is the secret. The more concepts one stuffs in his head, the less holographic he will be. The more moral principles one stuffs in his head, the less holographic he will be. The more knowledge one has and the more reasons one understands, the less holographic he will be. The more rules one masters, the less holographic he will be. The more one pursues, the less holographic one will be. How can we be more holographic? Lao Tzu told us to return again to the innocence of baby. Jesus Christ asked us to become like a small child. Zhang Sanfeng told us that to obey is to be immortal, to disobey is to be an immortal. The matter is always shifting between obeying and disobeying. Buddha teaches us to stay away from all forms, let our minds abide nowhere, which is the highest Buddhist principle. The way of the greatest creator is the way of holography. What Life Genuine conveys is holographic information and holographic principles, and what Life Genuine is doing is building holographic culture and revitalizing the root culture of China and the most quintessential culture of China. This is infinitely profound and very interesting. 石墨和金刚石结构给我们的启示 A revelation from the structure of graphite and diamond. Xiefeng. October 25 th2012. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Graphite is an allotrope of carbon, a transitional crystal among covalent crystals, metal crystals, and molecular crystals. In crystals, the same layers of carbon atoms form covalent bonds by sp2, trigonal, hybridization. Each carbon atom connects with 3 others, and 6 of them form a regular hexagon ring on the same plane and stretch to form laminated structures. These carbon atoms in the same plane also have p orbits, which overlap with each other to form delocalized electrons that can move freely in crystal lattices and can be motivated. That is, the graphite has metallic luster which can conduct heat and electricity. Due to the large distances between the layers, and with small bonding forces, they have soft and creamy textures, are gray-black, opaque, and solid. They have a density 2.25 G/cm3, a melting point 3652 degrees Celsius, a boiling point 4827 degrees Celsius, and a Mohs scale hardness of 1. The chemical properties are stable and corrosion resistant, and not very reactive with acid, alkali, or other chemicals. When burned in oxygen at 687 degrees Celsius, it will produce carbon dioxide. It can be oxidized by strong oxidizing agents such as concentrated nitric acid or mineral chameleon. It can be used as an anti-scuff agent and as a lubricant. Highly pure graphite can be used as a neutron moderator in nuclear reactors and can be used in the manufacture of crucibles, electrodes, electric brushes, dry cell batteries, graphite fibers, heat exchangers, coolers, electric arc furnaces, arc lamps, pencil lead, and much more. Diamonds are allotropes of carbon atoms which are typical covalent crystals. The carbon atoms form 4 sp3 hybrid orbits which connect to each other with covalent bonds. Each carbon atom is in the center of a regular tetrahedron formed by 4 other carbon atoms associated with it, forming a crystal, and the entire crystal can be regarded as a giant molecule. These crystals belong to cubic systems and are usually in forms with 8 faces. The purest quality ones are colorless, transparent, strong, and lustrous, but impurities will make them appear blue, sky blue, light yellow, red, or black. Their density is 3.15-3.53 G/cm3. Their melting point is 3550 degrees Celsius, and their boiling point is 4827 degrees Celsius. With a Mohs scale hardness of 10, they are the hardest of all materials. They are non-conductive and appear pale blue fluorescent under ultraviolet light. They do not react with most chemical agents and can be burned in oxygen at 777 degrees Celsius to produce carbon dioxide. Transparent carbides are known as diamonds after they have been carved and polished and are luxurious ornaments. There are few diamond minerals in nature. Diamonds can be made artificially, such as with graphite, subjected to high temperatures, high pressures, and catalyzing agents. What revelation can we obtain from the above data? Graphite and diamonds both consist of carbon atoms, which means that the material of both is the same, but the differences of their molecular structural permutations lead to completely different physical properties. The most scale hardness of graphite is 1 while that of diamonds is 10. The extreme differences between the two lead to extremely different uses, and that is to say that for the same material, when its molecular permutations change, its material properties also change. This principle can be used in the management of the production, life, and human resources, and that is by the permutation and combinations of the managers. Perfect permutations and combinations will make teams like diamonds, with powerful and efficient managing ability. Conversely, if the team is like graphite, it will be weak, ineffective, and have poor managing efficiency. Graphite has free, radical electrons, while diamonds do not. This shows us the analogy that if one group consists of people with different faiths and viewpoints who act without coordination by their own free will, then it will lack cohesion, capacity, and have low efficiency and internal friction. Conversely, if the group is like a unified diamond, it will be invincible, capable of destroying any stronghold, and energy efficient. The same materials form different material properties because of their different permutations and combinations. So it is with life. If the life's non-material structure is different, then it can be transformed from one form of life into another, and a human may be transformed into a celestial being or a Buddha. We can regard humans as graphite, while celestial beings and Buddhas as diamonds. If the consciousness of a human is out of order, they will likely devolve towards lower life. If the consciousness of a human is in order, they will likely evolve toward a higher life. I have obtained the secrets of transforming humans into celestial beings and Buddhas, and I am aware of how to do this with self-cultivation and self-refinery. As long as one follows my guidance strictly, they will become a celestial being or a Buddha and reach the high-level space of life. This is assured. 若无报应则无天理. If there is no retribution, there will be no natural law. Xiefeng. January 30th, 2019. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. What is natural law? Natural law is the set of operational laws and principles of the universe and is the reward and punishment mechanism of Tao for all lives. What is retribution? Retribution is the set of rewards and punishments given by natural law according to each life's thoughts, words, and deeds. Is there natural law? This depends on whether there is retribution. If there is no retribution, then natural law does not exist. But if there is retribution, then there definitely is natural law. To know whether there is retribution, we have to analyze, sort out, summarize, verify, and judge from the ups and downs of human society, the rise and fall of each nation, and the joys and sorrows of each individual. We can also analyze and summarize the history and actual facts of each family and draw our own conclusions. If you find that there is indeed retribution, then you must follow natural law and not violate it. But if you find there is no retribution, then you can do whatever you want. Natural law is shapeless, formless, shadowless, traceless, invisible, intangible, and inaudible. To know whether it exists, we can only perceive, sense, and feel the changes in nature, in human society, and in everyone's status quo. To know natural law by way of retribution is called verification. We can also deduce whether it exists through logical reasoning. For example, if you killed a snake and had no son but then found that most people who killed snakes had no sons either, you could conclude that those who kill snakes generally have no sons. A connection between killing snakes and not having sons could be reached. If you kill a snake, then you will either have no sons or they would be accidents. If this were a common phenomenon, then it would prove that killing snakes is retributive, but if it were not a common phenomenon, then it would prove that there is no retribution for killing snakes and that that retribution does not exist. Another example would be between married couples. As long as the wife's aura exceeds that of her husband's, they will give birth to a daughter, but if the husband's aura surpasses that of his wife's, then they will give birth to a son. The formation of this aura correlates to the degree of love and respect that each person has toward their partner. If the wife's degree of love and respect is low, then her aura will be strong and daughters will be born. But if her degree of love and respect is high, her aura will be low and sons will be born. In the same way, if the husband's respect for his wife is low, his aura is strong, and then they will bear sons. But if his respect is high and his aura is weak, then they will bear daughters. Whether this principle is true or not needs to be verified from a large number of cases. If facts prove that this principle is true, then it proves that retribution exists. Otherwise, retribution does not exist. Due to their lack of experience, young people do not understand retribution, so it requires older people to tell them about it, and that if it exists, then people must be careful not to talk, act, eat, go, or think indiscriminately, otherwise there will be retribution. Once it is proven that natural law exists, then we should follow it because if we do so, we will get its corresponding retribution, but if we do not follow it, then we get the corresponding retribution for not following it. For example, I see a phenomenon in cyberspace that no matter who you are or what you post, you will always be scolded. If you are sincere and have good intentions, then you will be scolded. If you publicize Jesus or Buddha, then you will be scolded. If you promote the goodness of communism, then you will be scolded. If you respect your ancestors, then you will be scolded. If you speak from your heart honestly,